Hello, my loves. Hello, beautiful souls. Ooh, look at that sun, y'all. Do y'all see that sun? I got like I have a big umbrella right here, but the sun is so activating. I hope you're having a wonderful morning so far. Um, it's full moon day, and yesterday was 8-8 portal, so it's a lot of just interesting energy, and we're in retrograde, so don't let it take you out. First and, first and foremost, don't let it take you out. Listen, but I wanted to share this really quickly because I was like, doing, of course, morning meditation and some writing actually, and just kind of like tapping into my heart space. I had a lot of really just beautiful energy that I've been able to be present with in the mornings. In the nighttime, it get a little different. Throughout the day, I ain't gonna hold you. But my mornings are very, very peaceful. My mind is peaceful, so it actually shows me like kind of like how my body functions. So I'm also just kind of like seeing where I need to, I don't want to say like wind down differently, but like where can I hold a different level of space for myself in the evening times and what that might look like. But um, I wanted to check in with y'all and share this little tidbit of information because I was thinking about when you're communicating with people, especially when you're in partnership. I thought about how challenging it could be just to like, because a lot of things just get murky in communication. But there's also like there's something on the backside of that communication, because normally it's some sort of like belief system or what you believe about either the person or the situation or a lot of different things. So even when we are beginning to communicate with each other, 9 times out of 10 we're already coming into the conversation with like something, right? With something we think, with something that we believe. So it's not empty. We're not an empty vessel when we're walking into when we're coming into conversation with someone. And I don't know how you achieve that, but I think that it's probably possible. Like if you actually sat with yourself and said, I'm going to either like release any thoughts and just like be an open and empty vessel, or move or speak from my heart when I'm like speaking to this person or asking these questions. I'm gonna have to pray on that a little bit more and see what spirit has for me. But because I'm sure there's a way. And for all the people that are like super tapped in, like please feel free to share something in the comments. But what came up was that asking, what do you need from me in this moment? Because I think that sometimes when a person is saying this thing bothers me, that's never the moment to, it's like it becomes much more challenging if you take that moment to say, but you did this to me, but you did, but they did, but this is when this happened, in a moment of like defensiveness, right? Because maybe sometimes when someone is bringing something to you, it's not about a trial, right? It's not that you're on trial or that it's really just like wanting to understand, but there's an energy that's like in the back of it. And so I think that especially for me as an empath, like I'm big on how you say things to me and how you speak to me and how you ask the question. And I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure how to empty yourself before you come into conversation. That's why I think sometimes writing it is easier, or like sending an email, because like people can kind of just like put their own perspective perspective into it. And I've even tried to like it's almost like if you want to ask things in like a comical voice to like make it, lighter at times. Um, but asking the person, what do they need from you in that moment? How can I support you? Um, and from your perspective, how could I have done things differently? Without, like, before you get to a defense, like, ask that question first. Like, if they say, sweetie, like, I really didn't like how you were, I don't know, talking to, let's just say my partner was like, I don't really like the way you were speaking to the men in the building. You know what I mean? Or some of the men, or whatever the case may be. Like, it felt a little inappropriate. And I want to make sure that, I'm addressed, or the way you addressed me in a situation, I felt a little bit disrespected. And so before you defend that space that this person has held, ask them, from your perspective, what could I have done differently? Because then you like kind of open it up in a way where it's softer, and then you can kind of see what they think may have been a better course of action. Because some things are just like, you're like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Because you don't see it from the same perspective that they see it from. And so when that is stated, then you can put yourself in their movie. You know what I mean? And then you can formulate your response without it being defensive. And you can move from your heart a little bit better. You know what I mean? You can have a more heart-centered conversation. And that goes from a lot of different things, right? I think that just in the world, in the dynamics of how we are right now, everything's so volatile, everything's so emotional. People don't know how to talk to each other. I'm like super guilty of that, right? Even when you're challenging something, right? I think that there's even a delicate way of challenging a idea or a thought or a process. And I'm working on that myself, right? When I wanna kind of challenge or ask some more questions, finding the ways to articulate those questions where they don't trigger so much defensiveness in the other person. Oh, I understand your perspective on that, and I want to hold space for like what what your intention may have been, but here's how, and then going from there. So I just wanted to drop that on y'all because that came in this morning, and I was like, man, it's so much that gets lost in communication. So much gets lost there. All right, peace and blessings, y'all.